What would you think if you see a cop standing on the sidewalk giving a ticket to a kid, a teenager kid? Well, I would think that the kid is in big trouble. But I could very well be wrong in British Columbia, Richmond. So fellow Toastmaster and Mr. Toastmaster and my fellow Toastmasters and guest, I would like to share a story today which I heard on a radio very recently. The story is about a cop in British Columbia, Mr. Ward Caphan. He did an innovative policing paradigm. He brought an innovative paradigm which changed the policing industry in Canada. What he brought is called positive ticket. Ticket and positivity, they don't go well, because whenever we hear about ticket, it's the fine or the negative impact that you will get into jail, you will be handcuffed. So that's what comes into mind. So when I heard about this story on a radio, I thought it seems interesting. I wanted to dig a little deeper. I went online, researched, looked at their website, and read a book that Mr. Ward had written. So Mr. Ward is a police officer, and he has been in police industry for quite some time, I think since his 80s. Initially, as a young policeman, he was in charge of a school district. And what he found was that most of the crimes happen after the school time and between the kids go to home. Why? There were two reasons. First of all, kids didn't have any activity to do, or their parents could not afford putting them in after school programs. So again, Mr. Ward did the same old paradigm of hunting kids, going after them, and putting them into jail when he found any violence happening. But something in him told him that this is not right. So later in Vancouver, British Columbia, what we found that policemen were moseying around. So that day, we could very well, the kid which is standing on the sidewalk was given a positive ticket. And the reason was, he was riding a bike wearing a helmet. It's a small thing. So let me explain you what this positive ticket program did in the community. So basically, it was a community-driven program where a lot of the schools, government officers, and the communities participated. And they also brought in distributors who would distribute, because we can't ignore the fact that police is just giving good tickets to people. So what they did was they brought in distributors like you and me, volunteers, teachers, bus conductors, transit officers, who would keep those tickets and distribute whenever they find kids doing small and good things. So we can't ignore the fact that there will be violence, and we can't ignore the fact that trafficking will happen. So they were not trying to solve that. Instead, what they did was getting to the root of the problem, which is being proactive rather than being reactive to the problem. And the entire community kind of came together to solve this issue, where kids are just not discouraged, but they are encouraged to do good stuff, be better human beings. So couple of pointers I could take. Maybe this could not relate to our day-to-day lives in a complete way, but what I could take out is that in life, we so often think that we so often take the approach of being reactive rather than proactive and not getting to the roots. We look at the hanging fruits and trying to just solve those issues. So, but the end result of this entire program was within 3 years of bringing it into practice, they could give every year 40,000 tickets, positive tickets, and the crime rate or the violence came down by about 50%. So the calls they were getting reduced to 50%. And still the ticket ratio, positive versus negative, was 3-to-1. But what they did was amazing. And what they are consistently doing is bringing this program and spreading the word into different communities and working collaboratively to bring the change. So I just want to leave all of you with the quote which I read from Stephen Covey. He said, if you want to bring small changes, change your behavior. But if you want to change something drastically, then change the paradigm. Mr. Toastmaster.